DLT with Mr. Conectr. Be sure to subscribe. Hit the notification bell for daily content. Let's go.
With real-world assets, this is now a very real disruptive force to traditional finance. And for example, in our case, our focus right now is bringing $100 trillion worth of assets that DTCC is responsible for on-chain. Many folks here may not know who DTCC is and what we're responsible for. We're the principal record keeper for the U.S. financial markets, so we are all publicly traded securities. We hold a principal record-keeping role. We're responsible for T+1 settlement. We're owned by the major banks and institutions, so effectively we're a DAO for the U.S. financial markets. We're determined T+1 settlement is not good enough. We're really looking to take advantage of real-time settlement from blockchain rails, and it's our responsibility to bring those assets into the market. With real-world assets, this is now a very real.
What's up, everybody? It's Mr. Conectr. $100 trillion coming on chain. Are you guys ready for the financial revolution? Are you ready for the great awakening? We are here. We are live. What's up? We've got Silver Days and Rotisserie Bear already in the chat. What's up, guys? Good to see you joining as always. Back on YouTube streaming again. It is Thursday. What's today's date? The 4th of September. All right, we're getting ready for those rate cuts. We're getting ready to push altcoin season to some new highs. I don't know about you guys, but I am ready. All right, let's get into it. Yeah, that was the DTCC on-chain is not a theory anymore. I'm not sure how well you could hear that over my synthesizers. Let's take a quick listen again at that. Cut it back a little bit.
With real-world assets, this is now a very real disruptive force to traditional finance. And for example, in our case, our focus right now is bringing $100 trillion worth of assets that DTCC is responsible for on-chain. Many folks here may not know who DTCC is and what we're responsible for. We're the principal record keeper for the U.S. financial markets, so we are all publicly traded securities. We hold a principal record-keeping role. We're responsible for T+1 settlement. We're owned by the major banks and institutions, so effectively we're a DAO for the U.S. financial markets. We're determined T+1 settlement is not good enough. We're really looking to take advantage of real-time settlement from blockchain rails, and it's our responsibility to bring those assets into the market.
That's right. T+1 isn't even good enough. We were at what? T+3 a couple years ago. Then they went T+2, T+1 now, and now we're going to instant. It's going to be amazing, guys. You guys feel it too. The DTC makes us rich, as Lizard King would say. Not financial advice on the channel, though. What's going on in the stream today? We've got Daniel Dixon coming up with the update for Stellar's new, their new protocol. What is it? 23 is active. We've got Gary Gensler has been caught deleting some text messages. We've got Wyoming stablecoin, Hedera chooses Hedera. We've got the XRP Army gets credit. We've got a letter from Pompeius and Eric Trump and WorldFi on the list today. Cool. Well, let's get to the Conectr coins. What's that, Silver Days and Rotisserie Bear? Sounds like a new song with the synths and voiceover. Let's go. Yeah, I was just, it takes me about, I don't know, about 15 minutes before each show. I try to write a new little synthesizer patch. Not every show, but hopefully most of them. And yeah, I write a step program on my Roland S1. Then I program some quick drum loops and bass line on that. But I'll jam it out on the end of the show, though. Jam the same patch again. We've got Zahao up the most. Not much of green going on today. Only up 1.23%. Where did all our gains go? Guys, if you zoom out, we're just hitting a new pullback, a new low, a higher low. So when in doubt, zoom out. Let's look at the XRP chart. For you guys that have been in this for a while, you're up 400% on the year on XRP. We had that Trump pump. Gosh, what were we at? About 50 some cents last year this time. There's your all-time chart coming up on XRP. Look at that chart. Almost hit that all-time high. And we are trying to push it up higher. We're seeing lots of new companies adding XRP as their treasury, into their treasury, and using it in their daily operations. So these are some smart companies getting on board. Not just XRP, there's all kinds of good plays out there. Let's take a quick look at the American cryptos. In the past 24 hours, we've got Wilder World up the most, almost 20%. Beltram, the Pomeranian, Burt up 3%, and Chia is up a little bit. What's not doing good in America? World Liberty Fi is down 13%, and Altura is down 11%. AI16Z is down 10%. What sectors are popping off? You guys know I like to run through these just to get an idea of what's going on in the world of crypto and distributed ledger land. We've got music categories up 15% with the Vibrate coin up 26%, pushing that sector up. Toncoin's up 13%. That ecosystem with their Trador coin up 100%. And what's not doing good? Distributed computing with Arcade is pulling that down a little bit. Actually, that's the, when you go in and it goes down like that, that's probably the best performing one in that category. So that's weird how they list the best performing in the worst category. And Bonk's ecosystem's down a little bit. Come on, let's keep going on the crypto events calendar. Thursday the 4th, AMA with KuCoin, Seal on Sui. Walrus is now the first decentralized data platform with on-chain access control with Seal live on Sui mainnet. Filecoin orbits all hands. The session will recap July's progress for Filecoin. Look at Sellers got a Whisk discussion at 4 p.m. UTC. Stellar's built different. Whisk Protocol 23. And we've got Daniel Dixon in just a minute on that. What's that, Big Bro 10? How you doing, buddy? Rewires the net. Protocol 23 rewires the network for parallel execution, lower latency, and cleaner dev tools. Stellar's a powerhouse, guys. Don't sleep on Stellar. On September 4th, they're having a talk on that. That's today, I guess. Yeah, I'm not sure about the... Oh, that's Eastern Standard. Okay, so it's 12 a.m. Eastern Standard. Guess that's already happened. Cool. Let's go back to the discussions, the crypto calendar of events. What else is going on? Just make sure I haven't even looked through this, guys. We'll just make sure we don't miss anything today. We've got RLUSD in Africa. See, this is why we check this, so we don't miss anything. We're just looking through this stuff together, guys. Hope you guys are doing good. Hit the likes on the way in if you could. And it really helps the channel out. Next chapter for RLUSD starts in Africa. We're proud to bring our trusted USD-backed stablecoin to the content with new partners. Okay, we've got Chipper Cash in Africa with 107 followers. We've got Valor.com with 38,000 followers and Yellow Card app with 31,000 followers. Ripple's making moves to put this stablecoin out into the world. Get that liquidity going. When we know that stablecoin needs a neutral bridge asset to work, it needs wallets. You got to open a wallet. You got to spend XRP to open a wallet. You got to spend XRP for gas. You got to use XRP in liquidity pools. I think that's about it for the crypto categories. Okay, let's take a quick look at our loan markets. XRP's at $2.80 is all right now, and we've got 6.5 million locked up in loan protocol. This is going up every day, guys. You're getting 0.55%. That's not much. right now, but it's a lot more than a bank account. And this is decentralized staking. You know, you're lending out your XRP in a decentralized way. And I've been using this for a while. I locked up a few XRP in here. And we've got $18.3 million worth of XRP that's been locked up in Loan Protocol. What's up, Marcus Grimmon? XPR connection. Yeah, we're on it now. Checking out all these loan markets. You know, when you lock up XRP, of course, it's XXRP on the Layer 1 XPR network. And that's this Loan Protocol also lives on the XPR network. All that's going to be migrating over to Metal soon, the Layer 0. And like I said, you're getting 0.55% APY on your XRP, which is one of the few options you have right now for decentralized earning on your XRP. Not a lot of people are talking about this. You can also do it with USDX or XUSDC. You know, when it's on the XPR network, they add the X in front. And imagine taking your XRP yield, you know, you get loan tokens for the yield, and taking those, maybe converting them to using the metalx.com, the exchange, convert them over to USDC and put it back into earning 17% on your yield. There's all kinds of tricks, guys. Get in here and play with this DeFi and see what works out best for you. If you just want to lock up your XPR network, earn 2.76%. I was giving away some XPR the other night on the boardroom. I just felt like, you know, showing how the network works so easy in the chat. I was asking people to just give me their WebAuth handle, you know, their @ name. And they just put it in the chat. And within seconds, I was sending them some free XPR from the Mr. Conectr wallet. So Bitcoin, you can earn 1.97 on that, 5.21 on your ETH. You can earn 3.97% on your Hedera. There's already 3 million deposited. They just started, I think, last week, a couple weeks ago. Dogecoin, 7%. Metal DAO, 9%. Litecoin, we won't give Litecoin much credit. They've been talking junk on the XRP community. They seem spiteful all of a sudden. I used to like Litecoin. And what was that for Tether at the bottom there? 19% on Tether. Very cool. Okay, cool. Let's check out the overall market overview for the RWA assets. We're up to $28 billion worth of total RWAs that are put on chain. 376,000 holders, 273 asset issuers, and we've got $274 billion worth of stable coins. You know, I hadn't used this site in a while. I used to cover it every stream, but stable coins, that's pretty good. Let's take a look at those stable coins in the section there. Let's see how much has been added. Yeah, it was only 122,000. I'm sorry, billion, 122 billion 2 years ago. Now we're at 274 billion today. As you see in the green, there's your USDT up the most, USDC in the blue. Mostly running on Ethereum and Tron, Solana, Arbitrum, BNB Chain, Polygon, Avalanche. Stellar, okay, there we go. Stellar's got $208 million worth of stable coins. And I swear I saw a sliver there at XRP. If I can get it to go back. $89 million worth of stable coins running on the XRP ledger. Cool, cool. Let's take a look at treasuries. What chains are running all the treasuries? $7.45 billion worth of treasuries on chain with that BUIDL network. Yes, your BlackRock BUIDL token. We're waiting on them to drop their XRP ETF. There's rumors about it. We're waiting to see that. The WTGXX is in second, and that Benji is in third. So this is what's going to prop up the dollar, guys. This is what the current government is banking on, saving the dollar. And that's treasuries locked up on chain. And they're using these treasuries to mint stable coins with. Not all these treasuries, these are just treasury tokens themselves, which is very cool. My question is, why can't we mint our own stable coins? I guess the Genius bill, it's limiting stable coins to qualified issuers. You have to go through the government. If your market cap is over, what is it? Is it 10 billion? In stable coins, you have to get a federal license. And if it's under that, you can deal with your state and get a state license. What's up, Lizard King? I gave you a shout out at the beginning, played a little clip from DTCC, and I said, Lizard King, as Lizard King says, DTCC makes us rich. I like that a lot. I like it a lot. Let's keep it going. What else do we have? Let's take a quick look at our spiel here. We want to look at $3.75 trillion market cap for your total cryptos, and the Bitcoin dominance is dropping. Let's look at this 6-month chart. Trying to make a comeback this week, but overall past 6 months it's going down pretty good. Let's go alt season. What's up, Marcus? Back up in the house again. Marcus said, what's up, Kryptonians? My COREUM 2 times daily long XRP. I've been losing money on this. Because when it goes down twice as far. But when it goes up twice as far. So figure I might as well hold that. See if I can come out of a hole with the price of XRP. And we've got to take a quick look at the stocks today. We got a little green in the market. Amazon's up 4%. Nothing too exciting. Let's take a peek at Circle. Circle's actually back up today a little bit. 116 after that pullback. And Coinbase. I like to take a look at the crypto stocks just to see how the normies are getting into this space. Normies don't want to hold their assets in their wallets. They want to get in the stock market and have these custodians hold their coins. Coinbase is coming back up as well. And what's going on with the precious metals? My God, they're running. Is there a short squeeze about to happen? $40.73 on silver. And what happened to my gold chart? Gold's rocking and rolling. What happened to my gold chart? It is missing. There it is. Look at that. What are we at now? $3,553. Wow. Central banks are accumulating. And as gold goes up, the value of the dollar goes down. You just turn that upside down. That's the value of the dollar. Heading down. Full wallets and hot pockets, says Marcus. Cool. Let's get into our show today. Our bookmarks. Right quick, Marshall Hannon from Metallica says, free the money, free the people from crushing debt, free the future generations from financial oppression, free the opportunity, free the world. Marshall is a patriot, guys. He is MAGA all the way. Whatever it takes. He wants to bring the power back to the people. He says soon you'll have a network of credit unions and banks to choose from that will never make you wait, where the digital banking network is directly integrated with your checking account, where one XMD always equals one USD. And the TBDN is going to be the global digital banking network. So we know he's got the credit unions locked down. What other banks are going to use this technology? They're going to issue their own blockchain on the Metal blockchain. They're going to have their own subnet, which is basically like a sidechain, like XRP Ledger's sidechain. Okay, speaking of Stellar, earlier we got Danielle Dixon just posting this. You can expect Stellar to become the cheapest and fastest blockchain it's ever been. Their goal with protocol upgrades is to improve the experience of building the Stellar network. And with this WISC Protocol 23, it does just that. So we've got Stellar here posting the code is live and the network has shifted. WISC is live on Stellar. Let's see what Garan says about it from Stellar.
Howdy, my name is Garen and I work on Protocol here at the Stellar Development Foundation. For the last few months, we've been cooking Protocol 23, now known as WISC. It just went live and it's one of the biggest updates to the Stellar network to date. WISC was built with 3 priorities in mind: developer experience, high performance execution, and network scalability. Let's dive in and talk about how these 3 core principles will help shape the future of the Stellar network. First up, we have CAP 63, which introduces parallel execution. Previously, validators would process one transaction after another, but with CAP 63, we can now do multiple things at once, greatly increasing the speed and TPS of smart contracts on Stellar. Next up, we have CAP.
Wow, multiple things at once. Validators are doing multiple things at once instead of just processing every transaction in order. Pretty interesting, huh?
67. This introduces a unified umbrella where people can interact with Stellar smart contract events in the same way they would interact with Stellar classic events. This makes building on Stellar a whole lot easier, not only for folks who are already here, but for new builders joining the network as well. Beyond these 2 caps, WISC also features 6 others that make Stellar the first ever blockchain to have all state in memory. The details are a little technical, but you can expect Stellar to become the cheapest and fastest blockchain it's ever been.
Stellar does have a good memory, a history way of taking their history and making it more efficient. You know, the history nodes are different than just the validator nodes, guys. These history nodes have to keep track of all the prior history on the chain so you can be searchable. It can be searchable. Marcus says, why doesn't XLM have one ETF coming? Good question. You know, that is very good. You know, Ripple, and, you know, that's a company, profit company, for profit. And Stellar's a nonprofit. So that may have something to do with it. I don't know. Let's see what else.
This upgrade is the result of collaboration from people all across the network, from the Stellar Development Foundation to ecosystem members providing feedback at every step of the process and testing new features, to the validators that keep the network running. I want to say thank you. This is y'all's release just as much as it is ours. I'm looking forward to seeing what we'll all build together with WISC.
Stellar in the game with Daniel Dixon at the helm. All right. And this is all I saw on this, but we can probably check the comments out. Maybe there's more in the comments. Eleanor Terry says, new according to SEC IG report. Nearly a year's worth of text messages from former chair Gary Gensler's archive were permanently lost due to a series of avoidable technology failures by the agency's Office of Information Technology. The text includes one sent and received by the former chair on his government phone between October 18, 2022 and September 2023. Interesting time there. Critical time of the Ripple case. Gary Gensler's archive. That has an X account? This is the archive of Gary Gensler's X account, the 33rd chair. Check this out right quick. He made his own archive. I didn't even see this before. But evidently some text messages are missing from it. Here's a link to the full report. PDF file from the Office of Inspector General. Avoidable errors and lead to the loss of former SEC Chair Gary Gensler's text messages. Why did we do this review? What we found and recommend. Okay, the decisions and actions resulted in an inadvertent loss of text messages sent and received by Gensler. Specifically, in August 2023, OIT implemented a poorly understood and automated policy that caused an enterprise wipe of Gensler's government-issued mobile device. Imagine that. The device was erroneously thought to be inactive and no longer in use, and the OIT had not backed up the device for nearly a year. In an effort to recover from the enterprise wipe, OIT hastily performed a factory reset. Yeah. Which deleted text messages stored on the device and the device's operating system logs. Yeah, it was just an accident, guys. Nothing to see here. Come on. Wow. Well, if they put all this stuff on the blockchain, you know, all these public sector guys, all this data needs to be held accountable. We need to be able to look into it. When you do anything and you work for the public, any position, you know, we need to be able to see that. We need to be able to go back, see what happened, and hold these people accountable. So that's really disappointing to see that we lost some of that data. But then, you know, they always say nothing's ever deleted. Nothing's ever really deleted. So let's see that come back out, hopefully. We've got Tristan Labbit saying, did the SEC OIG also look for the text communications of William Hemmon and his extremely limited review of the conflicts related to his Ether-free pass? I highly doubt it. You know, go figure. Yeah, isn't that just convenient? Permanently lost isn't a thing in IT. All data is recoverable if the administration truly wants to do so. Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Silver says Gensler also had meetings with George Soros and then Scrub. Yeah. Yep. I remember that. Criminals. Crazy. Okay, we've got news coming out of Colorado. Wyoming has chosen the Hedera chain to host Front Coin. FRNT is their new stablecoin because they are the frontier state. The first U.S. state-issued stablecoin backed by dollars and treasuries. Now, from what I remember, and we covered this on the channel a couple months ago, they were going to actually use several different chains. There was like 7 of them. Of course, like Ethereum and, you know, whatever else I can't remember. But they were going to use layer 0 to interoperate between all 7 chains. So maybe this is just an 8th chain. But Hedera was selected as a candidate for the front coin. Here's a look why Wyoming Token Commission's selection process and how blockchains were evaluated. All networks considered are listed with eligibility scores, benefits, and concerns. This is from at HBAR Tata. Yeah, Hedera was the last added. That's what I was thinking. Kind of made it sound like it was the first one added, the only one added. Well, that's pretty small. Can't read that. So let me just read the outtakes here. Blockchain selection binaries. Which chain met specific eligibility requirements? Scores assigned to each blockchain based on technical performance. Highlights and strengths, the weaknesses of each network. Benefits and concerns. That sounds pretty standard. HBAR transactions finalized in seconds with low fixed fees, making it suitable for everything from retail purchases and tax refunds to instant public payroll systems. All right, we got some good news coming out of CoinDesk. Actually, CoinDesk, yeah. XRP Army has been credited with helping Ripple tilt the case against the SEC. Yeah, all the Twitter sleuths went to work finding all kinds of stuff. Now that's decentralized in action there. What's up, Maximum FOMO? Doing good, man. Let's see if we can't get summary here.
Got it. I'll respond with audio from now on.
Can you give me a detailed summary of this page?
Sorry, but I can't provide a detailed summary of the web page you're viewing. Feel free to ask about something else, though.
Usually I don't have problems with that. Let's try it again.
Hey, Conectr, you're back. What's been going on?
Hey, can you give me a detailed summary of this page?
Sorry, I can't discuss the content of the current web page.
All right, sorry guys. Usually that works flawlessly. I have to check in on that. But let's just read the headlines here. Ripple's legal battle with the SEC concluded with a mixed ruling, impacting the classification of XRP as a security. The XRP Army's efforts were acknowledged by both Ripple's lawyers and the judge as influential in the case outcome. XRP experienced significant price volatility, reaching all-time high before stabilizing near 285. The XRP Army has long claimed to be more than just a noisy retail crowd. Now, with Ripple's 4-year battle against the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission closed, both the judge and Ripple's lawyers are saying they made a difference. Yeah, I mean, that's the first time this has really happened. All these XRP supporters got in there and signed up to be defendants in the case. That's crazy. You know, we wanted to be right alongside of Ripple with that. And thanks to John Deaton, who filed the amicus brief on behalf of the holders, said anyone denying their role is either ignorant of the facts and the truth or intentionally lying. Yeah, and they had to, you know, they had these normal procedure calls, and they had to keep expanding them every time because all the holders kept calling in, supporting the court cases. And Judge Torres has said that even the arguments made in the separate library case, when the ruling that XRP itself is not a security, the XRP holder affidavits. I'm trying to skip ahead of myself here. Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys that what a pivotal role we played in that case. Yeah, Canyon Copilot got hacked by the Shadow Realm. Yeah, the XRP Army looked into speeches, talks, and things the SEC or the government had said related to blockchain, crypto, XRP, Ripple, and the XRP Army. Mind that for us, McCrimmon said. I could have paid lawyers thousands of dollars to do that, yet they were finding it and posting it on Twitter. Yeah, we just wanted the truth to come out. That's all. And especially the truth on ETHgate. Wouldn't that be nice if that came out? I'm still hopeful on that, guys. We'll see. We'll see. You know, it seems like everybody just wants to move on, though. Okay, we've got a good letter from Pumpius here to the holders of XRP. I know how it feels like to carry this asset, the waiting, the ridicule, the endless manipulation of the charts. While others chase quick pumps and hollow gains, you stood in the trenches of one of the hardest battles in financial history. You've been mocked, doubted, and told you were wrong. They called you crazy. They called you dreamers. But here you are, still holding, still believing, still fighting. Understand this, you're not just investors. You are early architects of the new order. Wow. You saw what the others could not. That XRP is not a token to trade, but the rails of the future system. Ripple battles in courts were not a curse, but a cleansing. That every corridor opened, every settlement was tested, every partnership whispered in back rooms was either a brick laid in the foundation of what is coming. You've carried the burden through years of suppression. You've endured while whales, exchanges, and governments tried to shake you out. Yet you stand firm. And sooner the masses will realize the weight you've carried will turn to wings. Wings of the phoenix. Because when the system flips, when trillions move through rails you already hold, the world will finally see what you saw when no one believed. Hold your heads high and You are not peasants chasing scraps. You are the vanguard of the new age of money. History will not remember those who laugh. It will remember those who endured. Stay strong. The switch is closer than they dare admit, from Pumpius. Yeah, Pumpius is such a bullish channel. I like that little bit of positivity. You know, it's hard to find positivity these days, guys, because there's so much wrong in the world. It's easy to get stuck on everything that's wrong and get down about it, because that's all the news. All the news we get is like negative news, it seems like. And we get scraps of good connections in the blockchain space. So that's what's kind of pushing us through this. Lizard's not in the move on camp. No, we're here. Here to stay. Okay, we got Eric Trump from Altcoin Gordon. What was the guy that had, I can't remember the account that had this guy's face on it. I think that was him. Oh well. Eric Trump just said crypto is about to go parabolic. And you're bearish? Let's see what Eric Trump says.
Every single day. A year ago, Jamie Dimon was saying, you know, we're not going to touch cryptocurrency, and now they're probably running at digital assets faster than anyone. You see what BlackRock's doing. You see, as I mentioned, what Schwab's doing. You see what nation states are doing. You see what states in this country are doing. Look what Texas just voted on, right? In their legislature, literally being able to custody Bitcoin on their balance sheets, right? So all of a sudden you've got all these cracks in the dam that are breaking. The people who get in now are the people who are getting in early. I believe that with all of my soul. And this is a global asset. This is an asset that everybody wants. This is an asset. It's probably the only asset in the world that has limited supply. There's 21 million. There will never be another one, unlike gold, unlike other commodities. And I'm just watching it from afar.
Yeah, there's many that have limited supply though.
For the first time, the capital markets really have access to it, or getting access to it. And so I think cryptocurrency is in its infancy. And I think the trajectory of Bitcoin and of digital assets is going to be parabolic. And I really think we're going to have one of the greatest companies in the ecosystem. And that was launched obviously minutes ago.
Yeah, the Trumps are bullish on Bitcoin and crypto, as we've seen from the Trump pump. That's not hurting the space at all, it seems like. You know that, but we'll see what comes into play with the Clarity Act. Hopefully that's not going to mess anything up with the Clarity. We should get that worked on soon in Congress. Congress is back and working on it. Gordon also says, WTF just happened. World Liberty Financial blacklisted Justin Sun's entire $50 million in World Liberty Fi allocation. I don't know what's up with that. I just wanted to bring that to you and let you know, guys. Justin Sun's been blacklisted by World Liberty. Let's see if there's any comments on this. I like Tron. I've always liked Tron. It's good tech. And isn't it based on XRP, the original Tron chain? Danger. What's up, Bradley B? Silver and gold, solid as usual. Yeah, we covered the silver and gold charts earlier. Rocking and rolling. That's real money there. Okay, here's Vic saying blacklisting Sun after making him an advisor and pocketing his $30 million seed fund. That's right. I forgot he was an advisor. A shocker from the Trump clan who owns 60% and skimmed 75% off the sales. Sun's Tron scams finally hit back, but this reeks of insider cleanup before the real dump. World Liberty Fi ain't liberty, it's leverage. Wow, there's so much going on in this space. What's up? Oh, that's Marcus still. Okay, we got Smoke Dog posting, yes, Ripple can improve Swift by using XRP to enable faster two-way communication, integrating it directly with the bank's existing databases and ledgers for real-time settlement instead of one-way messaging. He's got documents below from CBI or CBinsights.com. Examples of improving transactions through blockchain. Ripple, an enterprise blockchain services provider, is one of the most prominent players working on clearance and settlement. While the company is best known for its associated cryptocurrency XRP, the venture-backed company itself is building out blockchain-based solutions for banks to use for clearance and settlement. Swift messages are one way, like emails, which means that transactions can't be settled until each party has screened the transaction. By integrating directly with the bank's existing databases and ledgers, Ripple provides banks with faster two-way communication protocol that permits real-time messaging and settlement. International payment infrastructure costs. Yeah, the costs are coming down, and the safety's coming up, and the speed's coming up. Everything's about to change, guys. We got ISO switching over for Swift on, what is it, November 22nd? We've got the Federal Reserve coming up. They're going to have a meeting right before that, I think, on crypto. We've got the SEC wanting to meet crypto providers. The legacy system is here. And let's just hope they don't ruin it. You know, like they're ruining a lot. Okay, we've got Paul Atkins. Today we released the unified agenda of regulatory, deregulatory actions. We like that. We like freedom in markets. We like the market to decide what's best for the market. That's the level playing field, getting government out of it. Less rules, the better. You know, we're not little babies out here. We can protect ourselves. This agenda reflects it's a new day at the SEC. The agenda covers potential rule proposals related to the offer and the sale of crypto assets to help clarify the regulatory framework for crypto assets and provide greater certainty to the market. We saw yesterday, or day before yesterday, they made an announcement that finally spot crypto was okay, but it said registered exchanges for spot crypto okay. So you got to be registered for it to be okay in the country. Which is just, you know, that's basically a new form of banking license to me. Key priority of chairmanship is clear rules of the road for issuance, custody, and trading of crypto assets while continuing to discourage bad actors from violating the law. It also covers a number of envisioned deregulatory rule proposals to reduce compliance burdens and facilitate capital formation, including by simplifying pathways for raising capital and investor access to private businesses. It discusses amending existing rules to improve and modernize them, as well as address disclosure burdens. Finally, they're deregulating. A new rule-making agenda aiming to revamp crypto regulations to ease Wall Street's rules, seen as overly burdensome. Thank God Trump got in there, and this whole new team is letting us have at it, right? And speaking of Trump, we've got XRP Nassar Jassara posting here. Breaking, and Trump says tariffs could replace the federal income tax. And if you go back to 1913, we were the richest ever from 1850, due to all tariffs, no income taxes, up to 1913. That's when the Fed started, 1913. Then we went to income tax. Then we had the Great Depression. Okay, let's see here if I can get the volume up.
Possible. Do you think that's someday it's possible? It used to be. So if you go back to 1913 is when they ended tariffs. We were the richest ever from 1850. It was all tariffs. We didn't have income taxes. From 1850 to 1913. In the 1887s, about 1887, they had the Great National Tariff Act. And it was a group of people that got together because our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money. We had so much money, they didn't know what to do. It was a group of very prominent people that were set up to hand out.
That's a nice problem to have, not knowing what to do with the money.
Money to everybody, because we were the richest we ever were. Proportionately, we were in 1887, around that time, even in 1913, we ended them in 1913. How did that work out? And then we went to the income tax system, and then we had the Depression. And by the way, a lot of people try and say that, oh, tariffs with the depression. No, they ended in 1913, and then we went to income tax, and then in 1929 you had the depression. They did try and bring it back in 1931-32, but the depression had long started, and this poor, beautiful nation was gone. It was gone. We suffered for 25 years.
So we need a whole new revamp of the financial system, guys. It is broken. It is not for the people. It's for the higher elites, the 1%, that have rigged the game against the open, fair markets. That's nothing but manipulation. You know, they created out of thin air. These are IOUs to private banksters. Then something like crypto comes along, and with a limited supply, and it has utility, and it's faster, cheaper to use. I mean, come on. What is everybody waiting on? You guys are here. You guys see it. All right, Brad Garlandhouse posts that per the CME group data, XRP futures contracts were the fastest ever, just over 3 months to hit $1 billion in open interest. A record $36 billion in OI, open interest, for crypto futures and options on August 22nd. 1,000 large open interest holders. XRP, Solana, and Micro Ether futures open interest hit all-time highs. Institutional activity is broadening just beyond Bitcoin. There's some August market highlights from the CME group. Lots of interest in XRP. Cool, let's keep it going. Pumpy is again. Air China to deploy XRP payments. Weebus International has signed a strategic partnership with Air China, unlocking 60 million members and introducing the future XRP payment solution. It's far bigger than airline adoption. It's the next layer of the reset. Weebus International signed strategic partnership with Air China with XRP payment solution. Air China isn't just an airline. It's a state-owned enterprise deeply woven into the Chinese government's global strategy. When Air China moves, it's not about tickets, it's about flows of people and money and data. 60 million plus loyalty members. Millions of international passengers every year. Corridors linking Asia, Europe, Africa, and the US. When this volume runs through the XRP rails, it doesn't just move money, it reprograms global liquidity. Why XRP though? Because airlines are the perfect sandbox. Ticketing across dozens of fiat rails, settlement with fuel suppliers worldwide, loyalty points ready for tokenization. That's a big one there, loyalty points. That's like money itself. Every friction point screams a neutral bridge asset. That's XRP. Very true, because they don't want to get their currency. They want to keep it local. They want to keep it in the system, in China. You're not allowed to take currency out of China up to a certain amount, I think. So they need that neutral bridge asset to do their cross-border swaps. But here's the real breakdown. DNA protocol. Oh yeah, I hadn't really checked into this DNA protocol much. Let's see what he's also saying about them. I'm not sure if it's there's anything to it or not. You guys know anything about DNA protocol? Imagine every passenger ID, every loyalty profile, every KYC check, not as a paper or siloed databases, but anchored to the XRP ledger by DNA protocol. DNA protocol ensures real-time coordination across genome chain nodes to maintain integrity. Oh, this is getting a little scary here when you talk about your DNA on chain. This is wild. DNA protocol equals digital identity solved. Lab sequence, hash, anchored to XRPL. Users gain genomic identity passports. Wow. Which, when I think about it, just, all this ways of, they talk about the chip and the whatever. It's just ways to encrypt. Basically, all this stuff's going to be living on the cloud, living on the chain, on the blockchain. So as long as we have control of it, that's all that really matters. Lab sequence, hash anchored XRPL. Users gain genomic identity passports. I guess you prove who you are, and that's good enough on the ledger. KYC becomes instant, programmable, and fraud proof. Now later, there's over 60 million plus Air China members. Yeah, you know China's going to be all about this. You're looking at the largest KYC pilot in history. Wow. Bigger context, Japan, Ripple corridors alive. US, Japan talks for on-chain settlement using digital IDs. UAE with CBDCs plus RippleNet corridors. Now China, airline passengers prime for XRP settlement and XRPL identity. Lizard says, know your chromosomes. Yeah. The peasants think it's about buying tickets with crypto. The elites know it's about building a global settlement plus identity grid, where XRP moves the money and DNA protocol authenticates the person. Wow. And yeah, we got credentials that just passed on the ledger as well. So I'm sure that's got to be part of it, right? XRP armed with XRP and DNA protocol is positioning to be the only ledger where value and identity converge at scale. Interesting. We have to keep an eye on DNA protocol. Okay, we've got a new quantum update from Cointelegraph. Framework was submitted to the SEC's Crypto Asset Task Force to make digital assets quantum safe. Now, this is just a submission, so I'm not sure who it's submitted by, but it's submitted to the SEC. Post-Quantum Financial Infrastructure Framework. Executive summary for senior leadership and policymakers to the U.S. Crypto Asset Task Force. Proposed framework for quantum safe transition of the U.S. digital asset ecosystem. The document presents a strategic and technical framework to help inform future guidance, rulemaking, and joint industry efforts. We believe that a structured approach is needed to neutralize the forward-looking threat of quantum computing, and we present this framework as a starting point for that critical work. The U.S. digital asset ecosystem, built upon current cryptographic standards, faces an existential threat from rapid advancement of quantum computing. The cryptographically relevant quantum computer could break the fundamental security that protects trillions of dollars in assets, leading to systemic risk, catastrophic investor losses, and complete erosion of market confidence. This represents a forward-looking risk requiring immediate preparatory action driven by the harvest now, decrypt later strategy, where advisories are collecting encrypted data today to encrypt it with the future quantum machines. Yeah, you got, what is it, company called D-Wave, I think, that are selling quantum computers already. So you've got quantum computers in the hands, running simulations in the hands of private companies already. So they say it's a way out. The threat is way a ways. Yeah, we don't have to worry about it. But let's get ahead of this thing. It's good to see them at least talking about it. Okay, we've got Eleanor Terrett bringing the agenda. The SEC Springs agenda puts crypto front and center from trading and custody to safe harbor frameworks for issuers. A new day indeed. Let's run through these right quick, and then we'll call it after this. Foreign private issuer eligibility. We did see where we can accept foreign stable coins. You know, I went over the UBYX company that banks will hold pre-funded accounts with, as weird as that sounds, with UBYX, so they can swap stable coins, because they're going to be getting deposits from other stablecoins, not just their own stablecoin. And UBYX is the one that covers that swap. And they'll use other blockchains, and they did say the XRP ledger and others, to go swap out and redeem those foreign stablecoins or, the other bank stablecoins. And we saw where the MiCA compliance lets the American stablecoins in there, vice versa. So they're also going to have asset-backed securities registration and disclosure enhancements. Asset-backed securities. That's crypto. Those are assets. I guess you can back securities. When you wrap it in a package and a company wraps it, that's a security. The ETFs, those are securities, but the asset themselves is not a security. Good thing to remember. And they're also evaluating the continued effectiveness of the consolidated audit trail. Also the safe harbor rule. They're discussing crypto assets, enhancing the emerging growth company accommodations, and simplification of flyer status for reporting companies. Self-registration modernization, updating the exempt offering pathways, rationalization of disclosure practices, shareholder proposal modernization, updates to small entity definitions, amendments to form import, amendments to Rule 17, amendments to custody rules, transfer agents, publication or submission with quotations without specified information, amendments to broker-dealer financial responsibility, and record keeping. Yeah, they're going to have to change that when you get into all this DeFi. Crypto market structure amendments. Trade through rule. Trade through rule. Wonder what that is. We trade through an asset to get to another asset, maybe. Definition of a dealer. Yeah, we need definitions. Enhance oversight for securities traded on alternative trading systems. What was it I was watching the other day? They were discussing how all the on-chain data is going to be looked into now. When you trade on-chain, they're going to have the capabilities to gather all that for tax purposes, I guess. So be aware of when you're taking profits. Financial Data Transparency Act, customer ID programs for registered investment advisors and exempt reporting advisories. So yeah, it's good to see they're working on it. New frameworks equals new opportunities for builders. Safe harbors for issuers means IP RWA tokenization can move forward with confidence. The legacy system is coming in. Bradley says, have a great weekend, family. After XRP Moons, every day will be Saturday. That's right. That's what I'm looking forward to, Bradley. Definitely. Hope you guys have a good one. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to jam my cents on the way out. Thank you for tuning into the Conectr stream once again. Stay bullish as always. Hang in there, guys. You're in the right place at the right time for the financial revolution and the great awakening. You guys have a good one. Mr. Conectr out.
How the books and records are kept. How the books and records are kept. It's just an accounting ledger. It's just an accounting ledger. It's just an accounting ledger. It's almost immutable. It's almost immutable. It's almost immutable. It's just an accounting ledger. Trust it more than an Oracle database. Trust it more than an Oracle database. Oracle database. I want to invest in something because how the books and records are kept. I want to invest in something because how the books and records are kept. It's almost immutable.